So in this video I'm going to show you how to make a weight transfer system using a BB or a couple BBs for that matter if you need them. And basically what happens, you can hear that I got a BB rolling all the way up from the front of the lure when it's swimming, and then when I go to cast it, the BB's going to shoot down the little hole that I've drilled in here and go to the back of the lure and give it some weight at the back end. It makes it real nice for casting. And what it also does is it gets that weight, it moves that weight back up into the middle of the lure. When it's swimming, it makes the back end of the lure lighter because we've got now a hollowed out hole in the back end of the lure. It gives it a lot better action, makes it a lot easier for the lure to pivot, and it makes it swim through the water a lot better. So I use this is a crankbait that I'm making for summer smallmouth and walleye, and so I'll show you now how I do that. It's pretty simple to do. So here's a bait that I've just taken out of my mold. I make this with a 2-part urethane and little silicone mold. So I poured that, I've popped it out of the, so anyways, you can take a look at some of my other videos on how to make the mold and how to pour this lure. So basically what I've pulled it out of the mold now, and I've got the back end and I've filed it off square out of my mold. And so now all I'm going to do is drill a hole down the center of the lure, and I'm going to do that using first I use my little screw eye bit as a pilot hole, so I drill a little pilot hole in there. Now I'm going to take a 3/16 bit and basically drill out the lure. I don't want to go up to the point where I'm going to put the hook hanger in here, so I'm going to stop before I get to the hook hanger. And I think you can see there I've marked it. I just took a Sharpie pen and marked the drill so that as I'm doing this I don't have to really keep pulling it out and gauging. I'll just drive it in there until I get to the mark. So I'll do that. Okay, so now I've drilled the hole out there for basically a little tube for the BB to roll in. And so now I'm just going to set this in my little holder here, and you can see here's some that I've just finished, but I'll explain that when I get that done. I'm just going to put it in my little holder here and square it up so that the top face basically is horizontal to the floor, perpendicular to the floor. And I'll drop one of my BBs in there. 2 if I need more weight, or 3 if you're using a bigger lure. As many as you need. I just put 1, and this one's a nice light lure. So now what I need to do basically is seal off the back part of this lure, and I got a really easy way to do that. All I've done is taken a little hole punch that you can find at any craft store or kid store. I think I borrowed this from my son's craft kit, and any old piece of scrap plastic. This was a drill bit set, so just pop a hole out of one of the plastic, the little piece of plastic there, and so now I got this little hole, and when it pops out, I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, you get the little circle there. And so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to super glue this real lightly, just super glue that on there. And the super glue is not holding this thing on there for permanent. It's just holding that little piece of plastic on there when I put my urethane over the top. A little dab around there, 4 spots around there, and then I'm just gonna glue that little plastic circle I cut out. Of course, try not to touch the super glue with your fingers, because that's what it likes to stick to the most. So I'm just gonna slide that over till it covers my hole. And again, this is not a permanent piece here. This is just to cover up that hole. And so now basically what I've done, I've got it all set up now, and I'm just gonna put a couple dots or little dabs of urethane on the top of that, and then that will be the permanent seal. And so the next time I pour a lure, I'll get my lure all set up to pour, and every time I get done pouring a lure, there'll be a little residual urethane left over, and so I just take one of my stir sticks and dab it in the urethane, and then I'll just drop it on there and kind of spread it around just a little bit on the top, just a tiny little bit, just enough to cover it up. And so then when it covers it up, now I've got a great seal on the back end of the lure. And of course, got a little run over there, but I'll just sand that down, smooth that out, and now once I get to this point, you've got the BB traveling from as far up as you want it all the way to the back end. Now this is not going to rattle very much. It's not going to rattle really, because I've only done a 3/16 hole. But if you wanted to add rattles, all you'd have to do is drill that hole a little bit bigger. The BB will roll in there, but it would also go side to side. These are for clearer water, shallower water, so I'm kind of going with a more silent approach. But anyways, it makes a real nice casting lure. So here's the finished product after I got it painted and everything. So I'm just fishing with one hook on here, no back hook. So if you did want to put a back hook on there, it'd be really easy. All you'd have to do is in the little plastic circle, so in the little plastic circle that I cut out of the scrap plastic there, all I would do is insert a screw eye, drill a little hole in that thing and put a little screw eye, and leave yourself a little bit more space from the bottom of the plastic. And then as you're dabbing the urethane on, dab the urethane up to the back of the screw eye, and then you could put a back hook on there. It won't pull out. That urethane is really strong. And so then if you need a back hook on yours, you can do it that way. So I hope that's helpful. I'll take this bait out and try to catch some fish and get some footage of that as well.